Hello dear students, today we are going to discuss a very important topic of this chapter, human reproduction. As I taught you earlier, we have sexual dimorphism in case of humans, and due to sexual dimorphism we have a clear separation of male and female sex organ. It means we will have a few characteristic features by which we can identify immediately in between male and female. So in our syllabus we'll have to discuss about detailed structure of male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ. Today we'll discuss about male reproductive organ. When we take this topic, we'll include everything about glands, structures who are responsible for the production of gametes, who are responsible for the production of male hormones. I tried to simplify this topic. You should also try to understand well, so that you can solve questions based on this topic. When we take male reproductive system, we will have to study about these four structures. Understand, testes, we have to study male sex accessory ducts, urethra, it is also known as urogenital tract, and accessory secondary glands. These are four structures we have to study in detail regarding structure and function. So, my dear students, take this one. First one we will discuss about testes. I simplified this diagram. Testes, we have a pair of testes in case of the males, and testes is the site of production of gametes. It means spermatogenesis, that is the technical term for production of gamete. It is done in this structure, testis. In case of males, we have a pair of testes who are doing this job, formation of gametes, and hormones are also released by this structure. We will discuss anatomy of this structure. We discussed earlier, today we will also take this point. When we observe about this structure, it is descending out from the body. It means the slightly this structure is that is present outside, and we have a very that this structure is slightly situated outside. We have a reason for that one. We have to understand. We know that our internal body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. That is our internal body temperature. And for the formation of the healthy sperm, this line is very important. For the formation of healthy sperm, we can say, and for the formation of sperms, we need 2 degree below temperature. It means around 35. That's why it is descending out from the body to give the specific temperature for spermatogenesis. So that's why after birth, with passing time, it comes out from the body to maintain the specific temperature for the production of healthy sperm. Individual who are not having that important step in his life, they may not have production of healthy sperm, and they won't be able to become parent. So that is a important point we are discussing. So you may get reason why testis is descending down from the body. So what is the reason? For spermatogenesis we have the requirement of less temperature. It means body temperature is not good. That is why this structure is descending down from the body. So that is the explanation of this structure. Testis is covered by a loose connective tissue, and that tissue we call scrotum. This is the outer covering of testis is known as scrotum. And then we'll do the internal structure of this, but we have also accessory ducts who are responsible to carry gametes to their respective site. That is a very important work. So we have vas deferens, and it is looping over the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder, I would like to tell you about that this is the bladder who is responsible for the accumulation of urine. It means after the filtration of blood, what is the end product? That is urine, and it comes in urinary bladder, it accumulates, and then we have the release of urine. It is micturition. The scientific word is micturition. We have, whenever we have the filling of this bladder, so this is a reflex action. So this vas deferens is looping around urinary bladder, and then it is coming into urethra. This is the pore from which urine and sperm both are coming. In case of the males, we have, that is, there is only one tract by which urine as well as sperm both are coming, that is urethra. And then we have a structure which is responsible for the penetration of sperm into the female tract, that is penis. So when we have this structure penis, it is covered by a foreskin, and then we have a glans penis. So sorry for that one, penis, it is penis. So foreskin, it is now based on some religious practice, some according to some religion, we have circumcision. Circumcision is, it means that removal of foreskin, and it is a practice in Muslims and some Jews. These are the two basic religions. They are having circumcision, very important practice according to their religion, and it is also having a medical importance. Whenever we have the removal of foreskin, there is a less probability of sexually transmitted diseases. We have the various diseases which are transmitted when we have intercourse. It means at the time of the mating, at the time of the copulation, that foreskin has been removed in Muslim and some Jews, and they have less probability to have transmissions of sexual diseases. So that is the importance. And then we have to discuss about accessory secondary glands. So try to focus here in this. We have a seminal vesicles, prostate glands, and there is this one, bulbourethral gland. We also call corpus gland. Bulbourethral we can call, and we can also say corpus gland. So how many glands we have? There is one, prostate 2, and this one is 3. In case of male reproductive system, you need to understand, because we are discussing about the pair of testes. So this is seminal vesicles 2, bulbourethral gland or corpus gland 2, but prostate is only 1. My dear students, Remember this point. It is a very confusing point, and we have the probability to commit mistakes, so don't commit mistakes. Okay, prostate gland is only one. Seminal vesicles, bulbourethral gland, corpus gland. Because we have a pair of testes, we have two. So we are taking only one here as a structure. Okay, everyone. These glands are having very important role. We know that sperms, they need certain kind of facilities to fulfill the process of fertilization. We'll discuss in the detailing of the process of fertilization. We have one separate topic, that is physiochemical change. Let me brief you about this one. Role of these glands. So these glands are responsible to give all the facilities to sperm to enable sperm for fertilization. I will explain about which kind of facilities they are giving. So we know that female tract, it means vagina, is acidic environment, having acidic environment, and sperms can be killed in such kind of environment. So that's why they have a certain enzymes which are alkaline in nature. Calcium and fructose, very important. Mucus is providing a medium for the proliferation of sperms, for the propelling of sperms. Sperms can propel, move faster into the female tract. That is also the requirement for the fertilization, because that whole tract is having so many hurdles, and sperms, they have to cross these hurdles. This is the reason behind they are provided facilities. Are you understanding, my dear students? So they need energy, they need lubricants, that is mucus, and they need certain enzymes, certain substances which are alkaline in nature. What is the use of alkaline nature? Because the female reproductive tract by which sperms are moving, it is highly acidic in nature. So whenever we have acid base reaction, we have the neutralization. So this is the reason behind these glands are very, very important to maintain sperm's activity, to give nutrition, to give support, so that they can move faster and fulfill their role. That is very important. Okay, everyone. So that these are few roles of these glands we discussed. Fructose is for the substrate for energy. We know that they have to move faster, sperm, and for that reason they need energy. So from where they are getting energy? They are having fructose by these glands, and this fructose is acting as a substrate, and sperms are having mitochondria, chain of mitochondria. Will discuss detailed structure of sperm. So we will discuss about a middle piece. There is one structure which are having a chain of mitochondria, not only one, chain of mitochondria, because immense energy is needed for the movement. That is the reason behind they have fructose as a substrate and chain of mitochondria. We know that mitochondria are responsible for the production of energy, but they need substrate. That substrate is given by these glands. So my dear students, these glands are very important to fulfill the process of fertilization. People who are having problems, these glands, they may not succeeded in fertilization, and they may not have new life. So that is the importance. So let me tell you a interesting point. From here sperms are released, but from the ejaculatory duct, this one, from the urethra, semen is coming out. That is the difference. Sperms are released from the testes, but from the urethra, it means from the urogenital tract, semen is coming out. The term has changed now. Sperm and semen. So what is the difference from here to here? Because from here, from urethra, sperm will come out. So here we are not calling sperm, we are calling semen. Terminology has changed. So what is the change? When sperms are reaching here, seminal vesicles, bulbourethral gland, prostate gland, they give their secretion, and then we have mixing of their secretion, and the nature of sperms have changed. That's why we are calling semen. So when you see any that in diagnosis, so there is a semen analysis, not a sperm analysis. Semen analysis means that count of sperm along with all the secretions. Because if anyone is suffering from infertility, it means if they are not able to produce offsprings, it means there should be problem in the sperm count, less sperm count, as well as problem in the glands, because these glands are fulfilling all the needs of sperm so that sperm can reach their target site, and that could be also the reason behind infertility. Are you getting my point? So semen analysis, it means this analysis take sperm count as well as glands releases as well. So that is an important term I explained you. Now when we see that internal structure of testis, your focus should be here. You can see here. When we see, this is the scrotum, outer side, we are moving from outer to inner. Okay. So we'll take one by one. When we have that one, this is a scrotum, and then we have a capsule like structure, and in this capsule we have testicular lobule. What we call testicular lobule. I wrote TS. Testicular lobule, a compartment, and in this compartment we have a seminiferous tubule. This is the structure. Seminiferous tubules are the structure from where we have the production of sperm. That is the important point. And how many testicular lobules in one testis? 250. Remember that one. Sometimes we get confused about the total number of testicular lobules because there is a slight change in spelling. You can see here we are writing testis. Here you have to focus. Here, this one. This plural is you need to get. This is singular. When we write testis and when we write testis, change. This is the plural and this is the singular. So when we have this spelling, it means how many? 250. But when we have this one, you have to multiply. So 250 multiplied by 2. How many? 500 lobules. Total number of lobules are 500. And each testis how many? 250. So my dear students, singular, plural, there is a slight difference only, and you may commit mistake. In competitive exam, they are giving such kind of questions, and we generally assume that we are right, but sometimes we need to understand question well. So have you got this point? This is singular, one testis, but we have a pair of testes, all males, pair of testes. So each testis is having testicular lobule. How many testicular lobule in each testis? 250. Whenever we have this one, total number of testicular lobules in males, we have to write 500 if they are not giving this one specified. And if they are specified, you should understand the spelling, singular and plural. Okay everyone? So in testicular lobules, we have a seminiferous tubules. So how many seminiferous tubules? Maximum number of seminiferous tubules. Maximum number can be 3, and in general 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules are present. So these seminiferous tubules are the site for the production of the spermatozoa we call spermatids. Why we are calling spermatids and spermatozoa? We'll take this one. And then we have this one is all the testicular lobules, seminiferous tubules are opening in ratty testis, and then ratty testis is having vas efferentia. You can see here these structures are vas efferentia, and this vas efferentia is opening into epididymis, and this is the structure which is responsible for the storage of mature sperm. Okay everyone? Then we have vas deferens. So this structure detailing is here, anatomical detailing, and then we from vas deferens I explained you how many structures will be present after vas deferens and what is the position, what are the function. I think you must have got, and understand here we have this one, maximum number of seminiferous tubules can be 3, and how many tubules we have, testicular lobules we have 250. Remember this data. Now when we have this one, internal structure of seminiferous tubules, so you try to focus here. When we see you are getting this one, then some cells are rounded and some cells are bulging out. Bulging out, it means some cells are enlarged. So these rounded cells are male germ cells. It means those cells who are going to produce spermatozoa. Okay? And these bulges structure who are enlarged, which are enlarged structure, these structures are known as Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells, they are responsible for the maturation of the spermatozoa, and then we have the transformation of the spermatozoa, spermatids to sperm. So that is the reason behind. When they have male germ cells, when they have meiosis, they undergo meiosis and they form sperm. So you can see that a cavity is there. So sperms are accumulating here. Okay everyone? And sertoli cells, they are giving nutrition. They are providing all the facilities by which sperms can mature and they can develop their structure well. So very important role of sertoli cells. Okay everyone? So now it is clear, when we have the problem in sertoli cells, again people may not have capability to produce new life. That is, you have understood. When we have the problem in the glands, people may not have produced new life. It means the capability of reproduction is not there. And you can see this one is seminiferous, that one is seminiferous tubule structure, and in between two we have a space, and that space we call interstitial space. We also call Leydig cells, and they have a very important role in case of the male reproductive system, that is a production of the testosterone. It is a male hormone. Remember, first class I started with that primary sex organs, they have two basic functions. First, the production of gametes, and second, production of the sex hormone. So in between this one we have a gap, and that gap is filled by a Leydig cells. These cells are also known as interstitial cells. They have production of testosterone, that is male hormone, responsible for the normal functioning of spermatogenesis and male characteristics. We have after puberty we have a change in appearance, it means phenotype, and we have change in internal change also. We have change in thought, we have attraction towards opposite sexes, and that is due to testosterone. Okay everyone, so these are the structures. You need to go through all these structures, understand well. With the help of diagram I try to make you understand, and you need to only that one focus all these structure one by one along with their function. It will be very easy for you. I hope you have understood. In the upcoming classes we will discuss about female reproductive system, then we'll move to the gametogenesis. Let's quickly revise what we have discussed, because it is a quite technical topic. So here you can see testis, loose connective tissue, that this is scrotum, then vas deferens. Vas deferens is looping over the urinary bladder, and then seminal vesicles, gland, prostata gland, bulbourethral gland, that is corpus gland. And here is a very important, we can see that sperms are coming from this vas deferens. Okay, from the vas deferens sperms are coming. So, and from the seminal vesicles secretion will come, and this is the common path. This is the common path. So this path is known as ejaculatory duct. It means ejaculation. It means the when sperm and that gland secretions are meeting together. So there is a one duct, and by which they will come out through the penis. So that is why this structure is known as ejaculatory duct, a common duct which is serving both the process. Sperm as well as gland secretions are coming in this duct. Okay everyone, and the release of the sperm, we know that ejaculation, you have grown up now, you know that one. Ejaculation, it means release of sperm, release of semen. I taught you that is after the mixing of the secretions, it is no longer sperm, now it is converted semen. So ejaculation, it means the process of release of semen. I hope you enjoyed this topic. We need to focus because we are discussing about very important topic of this chapter. So keep on learning. Till then, bye bye, we'll meet again.